Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in using your email address and password as provided by the attender. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 9 and then click on view all lessons. The lessons we get of monomials, figure out a monomial and factor quadratics with other leading coefficients. Lesson that is GCF of monomials. Hmm. Okay. 8k square and 4k. So you need to find the greatest common factor, right? So whenever we have to find the greatest common factor, we have to do the prime factorization, right? Then we have to look for the common factors and then we'll multiply those common factors, right? So you are given 8k square. First of all, you have to do the prime factorization of 8k square and 4k square, right? 8k square is 2 times 2 times 2 k square and 4 is 2 times 2 k. You have to look for the common factors. So 2 times 2 and 2 times 2, that is, and k times k and k times k is common. So that means the greatest common factor or GCF is 4k square. Got it? That is 4k square. So what you have to do, you have to okay, find the greatest common factor of 9b cube and 6b cube. Basically, the greatest common factor is the greatest number that can divide both the numbers, right? So let's just do the prime factorization of prime factors of 9b cube. That is 3 times 3, b times b times b. Same way you have to do 6b cube. That is 3 times 2, b times b. So which is the common factor? 3 is common and all the b's are common. So that is 3b cube is the greatest common factor. Got it? The correct option is 3b cube. Option number 1 is the correct option. The next one is, what is the greatest common factor of 2b square and 4? So let's just do the prime factors of 2b square and 4. So the prime factors of 2b square are 2b times b. And then prime factors of 4 are 2 times 2. So the which is the greatest common factor? The correct option is 2. The GCF is 2. Got it? So the correct option is 2. Okay, find the greatest common factor. So let's just do the prime factors of both the terms. So the prime factors of 4 are 2 times 2 and the prime factors of 10 are 2 times 5 and cube. So which is the common factor? 2 is the common factor. So the greatest common factor is 2. That is 2, right? So find the greatest common factor of 6n cube and 4n cube. So which is the correct option? GCF is the greatest common factor that can divide both the numbers, right? So you have to do the prime factors of 6n cube and 4n cube. So 6n cube is 2 times 3 is 6 and 2 times 2 is 4. So 2 is the common factor and all these n's are common. That would be 2n cube. The correct option is option number 1, that is 2n cube. Got it? Okay, let's just move on to next one. Find the greatest common factor 6f and 2f square. So which is the correct option? The correct option is option number 2. 2f is the correct option. Find the greatest common factor of 8b and 6b square. Which is the correct option? The correct option is 2b, right? The greatest common factor of 8b and 6b square is 2b. Got it? Okay, find the greatest common factor of 6f and 9f square. So which is the correct option? That is 3f. Option number 2 is the correct option, right? The next one is find the greatest common factor of 8b and 6v square. So which is the correct option? The correct option is 2v, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson, and the next lesson is factor out a monomial. So let's just see how do we factor out. Find out the greatest common factor. If the greatest common factor is 1, just retype the polynomial. So basically, you are given 10r cube plus 4r, right? You have to, when you have to write down the 10 as the prime factors, they are 2 times 5 r times r plus you can write 2 times 2 and r. You can take common this 2 and this r. So you have 2r common, and inside the bracket you have the 5, the r square and plus 2. So that is 2r times 5r square plus 2. Basically, this 2r is the greatest common factor of the given monomial, right? Okay, let's just start with the practice questions. Factor out the greatest common factor If the greatest common factor is 1, just retype the polynomial, right? So let's just see, that is 7q cube. You can write 7 as 7 times 1 q times q times q plus 2 times 3 q times q times. So you don't have any number common, right? You only have q squares common. So that would be q square 7q plus 6. You have q square common. So that is q 7q square 7q plus 6. Option number 1 is the correct option. Q square times 7q plus 6. Option number 1 is the correct option. Factor out the greatest common factor. If the greatest common factor is 1, just retype the polynomial. That is 2b cube plus 8b square. Okay, so you have 2b cube, right? You need to write down them in the prime factor form, right? Then that would be easy. 2b times b, and you can write 8 as 2 times 2 times 2 and b times b. So you have 2 common. Then you have b square common. So 2b square, you are left with b plus 4b square. You already have b square common, right? So you're left with 2b square and b plus 4. Got it? The correct option is option number 1 is the correct option, right? So the correct option is option number 1 is the correct option. Factor out the greatest common factor. If the greatest common factor is 1, just retype the polynomial. So which is the correct option? Which is the correct option? That is option number 1. 2g times g plus 2 is the correct option. Factor out the greatest common factor. If the greatest common factor is 1, just retype the polynomial. So which is the correct option? The greatest common factor is, the correct option is option number 2, that is 3u square times u plus 2. Option number 2 is the correct option. Factor out the greatest common factor. So which is the correct option? That is 2 times 3h minus 4. Option number 2 is the correct option. Factor out the greatest common factor. If the greatest common factor is 1, just retype the polynomial, that is 3k cube minus 6k square. So which is the correct option? The correct option is option number 1 is the correct option. 3 square k square times k minus 2. Factor out the greatest common factor. If the greatest common factor is 1, just retype the polynomial. So which is the correct option? The correct option is that is 3g square times 3g minus 2. Option number 1 is the correct option. Factor out the greatest common factor. So which is the correct option? The correct option is option number 1, that is 3x square times x minus 2. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson, and the next lesson is the next one is factor quadratics with other leading coefficients. Let's just start with the next lesson. Okay, that is 3d square plus 10d plus 7, right? You have to factor out. So that is in the form ax square plus bx plus c, right? You need to factor out the b, right? B is 10. You need to factor out that 10, right? How you have to factor out? If you multiply them, you have a times c. 7 times 3 is 21. If you multiply them, you have 21. And if you add them, you have 10, right? So that is 7 plus 3, right? Because 7 times 3 is 21. That is 3d square. You can write that 10d equals 3d plus 7d. So that is, now here you have the common factor is 3d. You are left with d plus 1. And here you have common 7. You are left with d plus 1. So the correct option is 3d plus 7 and d plus 1. That is the correct. Okay. Okay, let's just start with the test questions. Okay, that's the same one we just did. 3d square plus 10d plus 7. So the correct option is 3d plus 7 and d plus 1 is the correct option. So the correct option is option number 2. Let's just move on to next one. Okay, the next one is 3z square plus 10z plus 3. That the equation is in the form ax square plus bx plus c. You have to multiply a and c. You have to do 3 times 3, that is 9. Now you have to factor out b. B is 10. When you add them, they makes 9. When you add them, they makes 10. And when you multiply them, they makes 9. Right? So 9 times 1 is 9 and 9 plus 1 is 10. 3x square plus 9z plus, sorry, 3z square plus 1z plus 3. From here you can take common 3z, you are left with z plus 3. Here you can take common 1, you are left with 3 plus c. This is the common factor, z plus 3, and you are left with 3z plus 1. Option number 2 is the correct option. If you have any question, you can please ask so that I can move on to next one. So the next example is 2z square plus 7z plus 5, right? So you have to factor out that you have to do 2 times 5, that is 10. So you have to factor out that 7. When you add two numbers, they make 7, and when you multiply, they makes 10. So 2 plus 5 is 7, and 2 times 5 is 10. So let's just do 2z square plus 2z plus 5z plus 5. So you have 2z common, you are left with z plus 1. Here you have 5 common, you are left with z plus 1. So z plus 1 is common factor, and you are left with 2z plus 5. So the correct option is z plus 1 times 2z plus 5. Option number 2 is the correct option. Got it? The correct option is option number 2. Got it? That is 2z plus 5 times z plus 1. 10t square plus 9t plus 2. So which is the correct option? That is option number 1. T plus 2 times 3t plus 1 is the correct option. That is 2t plus 1 and 5t time plus 2. Sorry, that's option number 2. 2n square plus 19n plus 9. So which is the correct option? That is option number 1 is the correct option. N plus 9 times 2n plus 1. The correct option is Option number 1 is the correct option. 2q plus 7 and q plus 1 is the correct option. The next one is 2x square plus 13x plus 11. So which is the correct option? That is option number 1. 2x plus 11 times x plus 1. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So we were working on grade 9 math. The chapter we were working on is factoring. The lessons we have covered today are GCF of monomials, factor out a monomial, and factor quadratics with other leading coefficients, right? So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we did today. That is your homework until next session, right? So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday 5 to 9. Or you can join me in the interactive session that will be daily from 4 to 5 and from 9 to 10. So if you have any questions related to the lessons we have just finished, you can please ask. I'm here to answer all of your questions and confusions if you have any.